What's up, boopers? I just wanted to officially announce that my streaming channel is up over at twitch.tv/hackerai. I had some audio problems and frame drop problems, but all that seems to be fixed now, so I'm ready to start streaming. I'll be streaming Tera, 20 vs 20 BGs, Tera, leveling, dungeons, PvP, pretty much anything. I'll be reading chat and answering questions too, so I hope to see you guys there. But otherwise, let's get into this video. I messed around in the 20 vs 20 BGs on Tera, and I wanted to give you guys a preview of what I learned, so let's get started. Boop. So the new Battlegrounds are a 20 vs 20 equalized battleground open to anyone level 30 and above. That's right, you can officially queue for Battlegrounds before level 60 now. By equalized, I mean that everyone that queues will be put to level 60 regardless of what level you actually are. You will also be given gear equal to what every other player in the battleground will be given, and this gear will not utilize crystals. So level discrepancy among crystals equipped won't exist either. However, you will not be given ranks of skills or skills themselves automatically. Thus, a level 60 player will still have an advantage over a level 30. When queuing on my Sork, which is only level 55, once in, I was not given stone skin or anything, and the other Sork's hailstorms were doing noticeably more damage than mine simply because they had higher ranks. But it's still a great way to get into PvP earlier on, and you'll also be given experience. When I won a game as a 55 Sork, coming in 3rd place on the scoreboard, I was given more than half a bubble of experience. Obviously, questing still seems to be faster, but if you hate PvE, this seems to be a great alternative. So let's get into the actual battleground and what you do. Boop. So when you queue up, you'll be put on one of two teams, either defending or attacking. Which one you get at the start is random. Now, if you played World of Warcraft before and Strand of the Ancients, a lot of this is going to be familiar to you. The attacking team's goal is to destroy a crystal in the core of the enemy's fortress, while the defending team's goal is to protect this crystal for as long as they can. Each team is given 15 minutes to attack and then 15 minutes to defend. Once the 15 minutes are up, the sides are switched. Now, if the attacking team manages to kill the crystal in less than 15 minutes, then the defending team will only have that amount of time to get revenge, else they lose. So, for example, if the attacking team kills the crystal in 10 minutes, then the team switch sides and the other team only has 10 minutes to destroy the crystal or they lose. Basically, whoever defends better during their 15 minutes or attacks better during their 15 minutes wins. If no crystal is destroyed, it'll go based off of which crystal has less HP. If both crystals have the same HP after 15 minutes, I have no clue what happens. Hasn't happened to me yet. But anyway, let's start with the view of an attacker and how to play this. As an attacker, you will be put on the outside of the fortress on a dock and given a variety of methods to breach the outer walls, inner walls, and fortress. There are 3 main methods to use to get over the walls. 1. Fly an airship. 2. Climb a ladder. And 3. Just break through the doors. Now, the airship, number 1, those are located at the spawn points of the attacking team. Each airship can hold up to 5 players, and any of them can trigger the launch. Any of the players inside can set the airship off, otherwise it'll just sit there. Even if only 1 player is inside, the airship can be told to take off. Once it takes off, you can essentially hit a button and drop out of the airship anytime you want, an airdrop, so to say. The airship goes on a set path, but will eventually fly over the innermost walls, so if the defenders aren't looking out for airships, this is the fastest and easiest, most effective way to breach the inner walls quickly. However, if the defenders are paying attention, they can use guns and tanks to shoot the airships out of the sky really fast and killing everybody inside. Number 2, the second method to get in is just climbing a ladder. This is one of the easy methods as long as there is no defenders sitting at the top of the ladders you're climbing. The top of these ladders take an unnecessarily long time to climb over before you have control of your character again. I had one case where a single sorcerer was able to kill 4 attackers just from sitting at the top of a ladder and attacking them all as they tried to climb over the top. So only use ladders if you're sure it's undefended. And the third method, the man mode door breaking method, the preferred method of pugs with no organization. Just find some tanks, charge the gates, break the gates down, and be a man. Now, the tanks themselves seem to be not so effective at destroying gates as simply jumping out and attacking the gates yourself. However, defenders have a variety of stationed turrets to defend these gates, and these turrets will kill you in 3 hits, and every hit knocks you down. Tanks are more effective as a method of cover fire to attack these guns while allies take out the gates and charge in. There are some important key notes to take into account with these turrets and guns though. First, they are not sensitive to teams. Any team can jump in any vehicle at any time as long as there isn't somebody already inside. 2. Upon dying, the passenger of the vehicle will also die. 3. Koreans are dicks. They like to jump out of the tanks when they're at 5% HP, then let you jump in the tank, and then one-shot the tank and kill you. So be careful when jumping into vehicles. Make sure it has hit points before you get inside, otherwise you'll just die instantly. 4. If a tank does die, you can repair it, but it takes time and you can be interrupted. And lastly, the most important thing to note about these things is tanks have collision, even as corpses. And this is something very important to note in this battleground. I'll explain more when I go over defenders though. Now, the tanks are clunky and vulnerable by themselves, but set them behind some friends and they are powerful siege tools. They do tons of AoE damage and AoE knockdowns. Their attacks are marked by Fire Blast-esque circles, so you can dodge them. Turrets also do more damage than tanks and fire faster, so note this, but you can't move a turret. It's stuck on the walls, and they only have a limited range of where they can fire. So then the last thing you want to note as an attacker is the graveyards. There are 3 graveyards marked similarly to capture points in Freywind Valley. Capturing a graveyard will allow you to resurrect at that point when you die by selecting it after you've died. When attacking, it's important to note that your graveyards can be recaptured if you don't defend them, and this will cause you to lose massive ground as your team will be forced to respawn way back outside the castle. So as an attacker, make sure you capture and hold these graveyards. And now let's move on to the defender point of view. Boop. Now defending can be either very stressful or very easy depending on how it's handled. Defenders start inside their base with their crystal core where their main graveyard is. Now, there are tons of ways for the outer walls to be breached. Tons to the point where you can protect one direction only to be completely flanked and have people inside your base anyway. Though it is initially a good idea to try and stall attackers at the outer gates using stationed turrets and delay graveyard captures as long as you can, ultimately, it seems that all the Korean teams would opt to just turtle inside their crystal room using tanks. Now, remember how I said tanks have collision? The Korean teams keep riding up the walls, grabbing a tank, and then driving it back down into the fortress and parking it in front of the gate, in front of their core room, and using it as a blocker. Any attempts by attackers to repair and move the tank would be of course met by a bombardment of ranged attacks from the majority of the defending team. Of course there are 2 alternative methods to get inside the throne room, 2 ladders, but these are usually defended, thus making this the easiest place to make a stand. Just abandoning the outer walls seems to be the better decision as a defender. Now, obviously, it's impossible to completely keep everybody out, but the crystal has a lot of HP and can take a long beating, and the goal is to have your crystal take less damage than the enemies, so turtling around it and making sure no one can get attacks on it is easier than running outside and trying to hold the outer gates, etc. There are also sewer paths that allow defenders to sneak out of the throne room and attempt to recap graveyards, but from the few games I played, it seems any team who didn't just sit inside the crystal room and turtle would lose. Just abandon strategy and turn into a turtle. And that's about it for what I found. I want to note that this is the first iteration of the 20 vs 20 Battleground patch. This is the first test version. Expect tons of balance changes. I imagine they'll do something against the turtling and all the other problems. You also get rep and credits for a new faction. I'll try to update and find out what the rewards are. For now, this is all I got for my preview though. If you want to see more, follow me on Twitch and I'll try to stream more of the 20 vs 20 Battlegrounds. They're pretty damn fun.